It's good to have you with us for this, the Prophecy edition of Songtime. My name is John Nieder. I think it was a wake-up call from hell. The destruction of the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001, was the bloodiest foreign attack on U.S. soil and the most devastating terrorist operation in history. It is inevitable that we speak of it in apocalyptic terms. To describe the events in Normandy, our minds naturally turn to the tragic poetry of the ancient biblical prophets. We look to words like those of the prophet Joel, referring to, quote, a day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and blackness. Before them fire devours, behind them a flame burns. Before them the land is the Garden of Eden, behind them a desert waste, nothing escapes them. The parallel between Osama bin Laden's evil scheme and the devastation cataloged in the prophetic books of the Bible is stark and it's obvious. As horrendous as the destruction was on that day, the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, the Bible tells us that even greater disasters are in store in the future. For all of its horror, September 11th was only a preview, friends, of things to come. It was merely a scale model of the apocalypse. The Bible clearly warns us that global plagues lie ahead on a scale we can hardly fathom or imagine. Unheard of levels of famine, war, disease, and destruction are going to one day rain down from the sky. Muslim terrorists, they have given us a taste of what is to come. Kind of an appetizer, but that's only a preview. It's only a taste. Finally, says the Word of God, this entire world will perish, and those who place their hope and trust in this world will perish with it. But we've never seen anything like this, have we? Maybe all of this, well, it's thousands of years in the future, or maybe it'll never happen at all. Questions like these are not surprising. We can expect to hear them on the lips of Americans today. A nation of people that are distracted, we're weary of the sky is falling rhetoric, and understandably reluctant to think about disasters that are so massive they cut off great slices of the world's population in really a matter of a few seconds. But if our nation now regrets its willingness to ignore the clues that led up to September 11th, Christians should think twice before pushing aside evidence that the climax of human history may be drawing near. There is evidence, substantial evidence, mounting evidence that indicates time could be short. I mean, even secularists are openly pondering the fate of the planet. Today, as never before, we can see prophetic events casting their shadows before them. Consider some of the indicators that the world of the apocalypse could be imminent. It was August 6th, 1945. The, quote, little boy, end quote, atomic bomb is dropped on Hiroshima, beginning the atomic age, in which apocalyptic mass destruction suddenly becomes something we can imagine. There's something that is absolutely conceivable. May 14th, almost 60 years ago. May 14th, 1948. Nearly 2,000 years after its destruction, Israel is miraculously reborn as a nation, set to assume the prominent role that it has in the Middle East, a role the Bible assigned to it. August 22nd, 1948, the World Council of Churches, a fellowship of churches from, quote, virtually all Christian traditions, end quote, is founded, paving the way for later ecumenical efforts. March 25th, 1957. The Treaty of Rome formally establishes the European Economic Community in order to, quote, lay the foundations of an even closer union among the peoples of Europe. Reminiscent of the ancient Roman Empire, the Bible predicts a resurgent Roman Empire in the last days. June 5th, 1967. In the Six-Day War, Jerusalem returns to Jewish control for the first time since antiquity. The nation that is to rebuild the temple in the last days once again rules the city in which that temple is to be rebuilt. July 10th, 1972, the Telstar communications satellite inaugurates an era of instantaneous global communication, removing from the realm of science fiction the Bible's claims that in the final days people across the globe will observe events in Jerusalem as they occur. March 26, 1975, the Biological Weapons Convention, the first international treaty to ban an entire class of weapons, goes into force. September 1987, Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein hosts the first international Babylon Festival, celebrating the progress of his project to restore the ancient glories of the city. The Bible identifies Babylon the Great as a major end-times governmental and commercial center that is ultimately to be destroyed in a single hour. September 13th, 1993, in the Oslo Accords, Israel grants self-government to the Palestinians, and the PLO recognizes Israel's right to exist. The treaty's 5-year phased implementation may serve as a model for the 7-year treaty that is to launch what the Bible calls a time of tribulation. July 29, 2001, the Temple Mount Faithful, an Israeli group dedicated to rebuilding the Jerusalem temple, attempts to lay the cornerstone for the new temple, sparking violent Muslim rioting. Israeli police prevent the faithful from reaching the Temple Mount. More and more things have happened since. But how can we imagine events like these, events that are bringing the world ever closer to the Bible's end-time scenario? Should we decide that the convergence of seemingly unrelated incidents into a clear biblical pattern is purely coincidental? The pace of fulfillment is intensifying. Should we ignore that trend as well? Some of these occurrences, such as the rebirth of Israel and today's obsessive push for peace in the Middle East, fit the biblical scenario so closely that the effect is almost eerie, even for non-believers. Yet many Christians have overlooked these historical developments completely, as though the biblical prophecies have never been written. The question is why? Especially now, as Israel begins to celebrate the 60th anniversary of their return to the land.